Are you in the military and you're beginning to get overwhelmed from PCS season upon us? You're trying to both purchase a home and plan your move? Well, guess what, guys? You are not alone. So that's why, as a retired first sergeant, 20 years of service, I did 8 PCS moves. 2 of those were dating moves. I want to dedicate this video to help you walk through the process of the home buying during PCS. But I also want to talk about the common pitfalls to avoid, but most of all, to try to make this process as stress-free as you possibly can so you can do more of focusing on the family. Now guys, first things first is thank you for your service. I cannot express my greatest gratitude, whether that's 3 years or whether you're taking that 20 years and beyond retirement. Now, as you know, PCS season is stressful not just for yourself, but for the entire family. You're trying to deal with things at the unit. You're trying to work with your family. You're trying to focus on the next duty stations. If you got kids, you're looking at transferring sports programs. You're looking at transferring schools. Which school is going to be a great fit for my kids? What neighborhood do we want to live in? All those things do take in mind. Now, as you know, I mean, this is a process that happens really realistically on average about every 3 years. Now, what makes this process so stressful, as you know, is not just the number of moves, because I know a lot of the issues that I have, I started becoming immune to it. But when you become immune to it, you also got to look at the family and how are they feeling, because there's a lot of planning and preparation that goes on before. So once you begin that execution, it can happen so much more smoother. So that's why, like, when you're looking at some of these unfamiliar locations, there's a lot of planning process that you can do up at the forefront for you and your spouse that can really set you up for success. And we're going to go in the details here in a second. Now, as we begin to look ahead, the first question that a lot of people always ask me is, why should I buy? Why shouldn't I just rent if I'm just going to live in somewhere in 3 to 5 years? You can absolutely do that, but there are definitely some options away as you kind of try to plan for yourself financially in the future. Now, it goes both ways. Like, buying may not be for everybody. Renting may be the best options, and that's something for you and your family, and we're going to discuss that as well. Now, when you look at purchasing a home, what the pros does is, like, when you're looking at PCS, is you can begin to build equity. You can take advantage of, like, the VA loan benefits, where you can get low or zero down payments. Look at those competitive rates. If you take advantage of that and get that low monthly payment, even though that you're going to be there anywhere from 2 to 4 years, you can rent that home out to help build equity out. Now, what I will tell you is, like, the con of that is if you're looking at selling that home within that 2 to 4 years, or right when your next PCS season, renting might be the best option for you. Now, that's really going to depend on which market that you're in. There are some markets that are greatly increasing, not typically what we're seeing from like 21 and 22, but you're looking on an average, you can look and see anywhere from between the 6 to 8 to even 10% a year, depending on the market itself. You could take advantage of that and try to sell within there, but when you factor in closing costs, whatever concessions you may give up, you could look at potentially even losing money in the long run if you're looking at selling by the time your next PCS move, if that's 3 years. However, if you're looking at renting, that renter is going to be paying for that mortgage, essentially is the way I look at it. Even if it's $100 a month to start off in, because I mean, that's what I did. And since then, I've had the home that I live in now. I've owned this home since 2016. I lived in it for a year. I PCS to South Carolina. I moved up to New York, then I retired, moved back here in 2023. Now, within those 6 years, I've had a renter paying that mortgage entirely for that 6 years, which that has allowed this home to build a lot of equity. So those are some great pros and some great cons when you're looking at buying. Now, within there, like buying every other home, I will tell you there's always a risk, because markets don't always go up. Markets can go down. So that's why, like, finding a real estate agent that really understands the market and that sees the market, but most importantly, where is that market at the time that you're trying to purchase that home? Also, things to look at: what are the upfront costs? Because you ultimately still want to hold that savings into the bank, and you want to make sure that you're not going to break that emergency savings that put you in a predicament if something happens in the long run. Now, that's why I always tell people is like, you need to look at your length of stay and what your future plans are. I currently own 2 homes, but both of those plans are the homes that hold them long term. Every single one of those, the ones I've owned for 15 years now. It's over at Fort Polk, Louisiana, and I own the one here that I'm living in now because my wife and I, we had the intention of retiring back here, located here in New Braunfels, Texas, close to Joint Base San Antonio. Now with that, let's talk about the steps of buying a home during PCS. Now these are the recommended steps that I look forward to, and this is kind of like how my wife and we planned our process. So the first things first is start planning early. PCS is upon us. You're 6 months out typically. I understand, especially people in the Army, sometimes you don't get your orders as close to even 60 days out, hopefully not 30 days. But hopefully you're seeing that and know where you're going to be within that 180-day mark. So when you get the orders, begin to research on the area and begin to look at local neighborhoods of where you want to be at. So for example, when my wife and I, when we were PCS from Hawaii to here in San Antonio, we were looking at all different areas. Everywhere from west of San Antonio to north to even south of San Antonio, we didn't know very well. But on that, we started looking at community, looking at the development. We were researching the schools and just trying to figure out where exactly we wanted to be. And that's how we found the fit here in New Braunfels, where I currently live now. We ended up purchasing into a new neighborhood home. Now that may not be for everybody because there are a lot of people out there that are looking for more of the existing home types. They're looking at homes that have been there for well-established neighborhoods. And I'll tell you, there are pros and cons of both. Now with that, even with planning early, one of the first things that we also did was we picked up a phone and got connected to a real estate agent. Now I know there are, you got USCA, you got Navy Federal, and they'll be glad to get you connected with real estate agents, but do your research on them. And that's one thing I tell you, if you ever have any questions with real estate agents, you ever want to be connected to a real estate agent, feel free to reach out to me, and I will do that research for you because I will always want to make sure that, especially my fellow Conrads, are being set up the right way and they're with the right person. Now, once you start planning, one of the factors that really go into it, and it really rolls in the next step, is understanding the budget. And what I say with that is one of the common mistakes I made is I look at the BAH and I'm like, okay, my BAH is $1,700 a month. Well, that means that mortgage payment, I can afford that mortgage payment at $1,700 a month. That's not necessarily true. In fact, that nearly got my wife and I in a pickle when we bought a home here in New Braunfels because I did not understand taxes and insurance that much. Now, taxes, everybody thinks the state of Texas, everybody's like, well, there are no state taxes here. Correct, there are no state income taxes here. But what I'll tell you is our property taxes here are some of the highest in the nation. I think we're in the top 5 or top 10 in the nation when it comes to property taxes, and here in this specific area, we're at 1.71%. Now, how does that factor? Is when you're looking at that tax bill, you're paying on average, or at least we were, on a $220,000 home, we were paying an extra $400 a month just in escrow just for taxes. And then there was insurance, and insurance was another $150 to $200 a month. So there's that right there is an extra added of $600 a month in addition to our mortgage payment of $1,200 a month or $1,100, whatever it was. So you take all those factors in considerations and don't look at, we can afford a home all the way up to $500,000, not understanding that you're going to be paying a ton in taxes. So utilize that. Something else when it comes to the budget is take advantage of the VA loan. VA loan is one of the best tools in your aviator's kit bag that you do have. There is no limit on the loans. Now, if you do have one house under a VA, that's okay, because guess what? You can get multiple homes under a VA loan. Now, there's going to be a cap on that, and when you exceed that cap, a down payment may come into place. But also just note that there are other banks out there that may have other tools available, especially to veterans, that you may not know. So don't be afraid to go out there and talk about and explore and make sure that you're shopping for those lenders. Next thing is make sure you leverage the technology that you have, use it to your advantage. So places like Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, they have certain programs where it allows you to take virtual tours of a lot of homes. And what that does, that kind of allows you to do a walkthrough of the home to see it from a distance. But something else I do, and this is something I do, is for my clients that are far away, is I will go do a videotape tour with a narration so they can really get a depiction and see what they're buying and what's at hand. So like taking these tools and leverage them, it'll help narrow down the search, especially if you already have that list out of what you're looking for and what you're needing to a house, and you pass that on to that realtor. That can really help expedite that home search. So next thing, make sure you're asking the right questions. So what are you looking for? Now, a real estate agent, I'm not going to comment on schools, but know what you're looking for in a school and know what you're researching in that school. What are your commute times, especially into work? Are you okay commuting sometimes 45 minutes to an hour just to get the base to make sure that you're going to be on time for PT? What are the amenities around you? What are the amenities on the base? Because there are a lot of people, if you have bases that have a lot of amenities on there, there are, a lot of soldiers that can be fine either living on base or they want to live right near base. But also you do have soldiers that they want to live as far away from base and be closest to the civilian life as they possibly can, and that's okay too. What are the homeowner association fees? Are their homes are in the flood zones? What are potential risks that can happen to really affect insurance, like a lot of hail that comes through? Maybe if you're up in like Fort Sill, Oklahoma, I believe they have a lot of tornadoes up there, stuff like that, because that can affect the cost of insurance as well. Now, once you've found that home that you like, you need to be prepared to act fast. So that's why I encourage you to always have that pre-approval letter from your lender. Have it ready. But once you get that pre-approval letter, make sure you don't make any major expenditures, so you don't need to go buy that dream car. It can wait till after closing. But also, what that pre-approval letter does for you, it shows sellers that you are a serious buyer. Now, also, the next thing within this is make sure your discussion strategies for making a strong competitive offer with your real estate agent. Now, even if you're buying a new construction home, I highly recommend you get a real estate agent so they can work for you on the ground while you're doing the PCS. Now, when you buy a home from a new construction company and you go directly to them, you're working for a salesperson. They are not working for you. They are there to get the sale. So that way, with a real estate agent, they can work the inspections with you. They can work any of the details out, making sure that you're getting adequately updated on what's going on with your home. Now, the last part of this is really key, and this is kind of the question on whether you should purchase or not purchase a home. What is your exit strategy? And I say this because, like, once you know, especially if you're staying in longer, that you're probably going to have to rent that home out to build equity in. And that's why I tell a lot of military people, if you're trying to sell the home in 3 years, more than likely, then renting is going to be the best option for you. However, if you're willing to rent that home out, then that's where buying is going to be a good opportunity, so you can buy equity, or you're getting equity inside that house once you move. Now, what is your selling strategy? This is a key one. When are you trying to sell? Because if you're at the low part of the market where the market's not moving, at some point in time it's going to pick up. And how much equity you're looking to build into the home, and what are you going to do with that equity? Are you going to roll it on to another home? That way you don't have to pay capital gains taxes, because there are certain programs out there that allow military where every so often, if we move, I think it's 2 years, you have to do your research on that. Do not quote me on that. But you can roll that equity inside that house into a new home, and you don't have to pay capital gains taxes, and that's a huge advantage in itself. Now, here are some tips I do recommend that will help smooth out a PCS for you. First thing I can tell you is organize and pack early. I cannot tell you just how much I stress this enough, because there's a full dating move I did from Alaska, and I waited the last minute to pack. That was a very, very bad idea, because it was nothing but screaming and yelling and just trying to get everything together, versus utilizing the time and the days and the weeks prior to that just to have everything boxed up. So the earlier you're able to pack, the earlier you're able to get things boxed up, it's going to allow that, because you do need to close out of that house and close out of housing too as well if you live on base. Utilize your military relocation services. So, I mean, I can't say enough great things about the Army ACS, about transportation, about housing. Utilize those services, because they will get you connected with people to whatever military base you could be PCS into. Even if you're retired, there's somebody somewhere that has a connection. So like if you're retiring out, LinkedIn was a huge deal to me, because that allowed me to reach out to people in the locations I live now to let me know what the current market is like. Keep important documents handy. So your leave form, make 20 copies of that, because you're going to need all 20 copies of it. Make sure you have your military orders, your bank statements, have access to your bank statements, loan documents, all those things, especially when it goes into buying a home. Have them in a folder for you where you're going to be able to easily accessible. That way when you get on the ground, or any information that they need once you're moving to the area, you'll have it easily accessible. Now, make sure you partner with experts who understand military moves. And I say that like choose your realtors. There's a lot of realtors out there that are what's called MRP certified. They've been to a class to understand like what they go through PCS. But I will tell you, there's a lot of veterans out there that have been in the military for many, many years, and have been in the real estate business as well. Utilize those and find those out, because they understand those moves. They understand the stress, and we're always here to help you, especially me. Whether you utilize me, you don't, I'm always going to be out there to answer your questions. Lenders, make sure like lenders of VA loans. I have lenders for everything. And there are certain lenders I do recommend when it does come to VA loans, and also inspectors. Always use an inspector. I don't care if it's a new construction or not, you're going to want to use an inspector for that house. Now we talked about all the good stuff. Let's talk about some common mistakes to avoid. So first things first is rushing into a purchase without doing your due diligence. Look, if you're unsure about a house, it's okay to rent. There is nothing out there saying that you have to purchase a home or it's a great idea, but the last thing you want to do is going into purchase a home without understanding the community, the neighborhood, what's going on, and specifically with that housing market. Because like I'll take 2022 as an example. In my neighborhood, I noticed a lot of people buying at $410,000, $420,000. Those homes now, they're selling for the 330s. So a lot of those homeowners that purchased that home, even though they were probably required to put a decent down payment in, they're going to have to hold on to those homes for a long, long time before they start building that equity, or going to have the chance to sell the home. Make sure also that you don't overextend that budget. When you set that budget, stay with it. You don't want to overpay for a house. I don't care how much of the perfect home it is. There's always something else that's out there. Make sure you have your needs and your wants list. And even though a lender may pre-approve you for $350,000, doesn't mean you have to get the loan for $350,000. So make sure you're considering the insurance, the interest, but also do not, and I stress, do not forget about the taxes as well. Don't ignore your exit strategy. Once you stay with it, once you set an exit strategy, stay with it for future PCS. If like a house hits a certain equity point and you want to go ahead and roll it over, stay with it. Don't be trying to like reach it. Well, if I just in for a little bit longer, I can get more money, because markets do go both ways at times. And then lastly, don't neglect looking at VA loan benefits. They're there for a reason, and they are a huge advantage to veterans that non-veterans do not have access to. I mean, such as whether the lower interest rate on most of the times, but also no down payment or a very, very low down payment. Take advantage of that, because it's there for you. So look, guys, I understand buying a home during PCS, it is overwhelming. But as I said before, if you set the right plan into action, it can be a great investment for you and your family. It has definitely benefit my family as purchasing 2 homes, the amount of equity to be in. That's going to set us up for success later in retirement, which I look forward to helping you doing the same thing. And look, if you have any questions and you found this video helpful, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button and like and share this with somebody that is PCSing. And look, even if you're not coming down to the San Antonio, New Braunfels area or even Austin area, I will help you find a real estate agent. So reach out to me and I will interview them for you and I will work with you to find the right match. Now, if you have any questions, comments, please leave them below and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.